the news tonight, Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry says the current status quo in Palestinian-Israeli peace talks is neither stable nor sustainable and does not meet the aspirations of the people. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi confirms that the army seized back control of Qayyara Air Base, a launchpad for the recapture of Mosul, the largest city under Daesh control. And renewed fighting eruption in South Sudan's capital Juba as government sources say at least 272 people have died in fighting between rival factions, including 33 civilians. Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. To reduce poverty and unemployment, the Investment Promotion Board must gear its effort to the most needy areas of development, said Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki during a visit to the Investment Commission. He said the summer season, when expatriates visit home and tourists flock into the kingdom, provides a good opportunity to promote investment opportunities in Jordan, as well as other initiatives offered to foreign investors. He urged the chair and members of the Investment Board to step up efforts to promote investment projects, oversee the functions of developmental zones, and to facilitate procedures for potential businesses. Al-Mulki also said the duty-free area at the Queen Alia International Airport could become a logistical hub for imports and exports, providing an added value for the national economy. The meeting reviewed future plans in the investment sector, including setting up training centers in the various developmental zones to build the capacity of local community members to engage them in upcoming projects. Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, during a rare visit to Israel in an attempt to revive peace talks, said the current status quo is neither stable nor sustainable and does not meet the aspirations of the two sides nor those of the people in the region. His visit, the first by an Egyptian foreign minister in 9 years, also aimed to discuss security cooperation over regional threats, namely Daesh insurgency. As he greeted Shoukry in Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed Egypt's effort to resolve the conflict and called for the resumption of peace talk. Shoukry maintained that the vision of the two-state solution is not far-fetched, noting that a multitude of ideas and initiatives have been proposed, particularly the Arab Peace Initiative.
Achieving this vision requires serious steps to build confidence, as well as a genuine will that does not waver or wane under any circumstance. I would like to assure that Egypt's commitment to supporting a just, comprehensive and sustainable resolution for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and to supporting peace and security in the Middle East is a steadfast and unwavering commitment, and that the Egyptian leadership is serious in its determination to provide all possible forms of support in order to achieve this noble goal.
Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has confirmed that the army seized back control of Qayyara Air Base, a launchpad for the recapture of Mosul. Special forces and regular troops under air cover from the US-led coalition entered Qayyara Air Base from the south and found terrorists appear to have fled, said a senior army officer from the front line. Abadi has pledged to retake Mosul, the largest city under control of the terrorist group Daesh, in both Syria and Iraq by the end of the year.
During recent days, our heroic forces have been working calmly without making much noise in the media and have liberated around 100 kilometers from their start point all the way up to Qayyara. And thank God, today they entered Qayyara Air Base and liberated it. And God willing, we will go from this base towards Mosul.
To Iraq, in a report by the United Children's Agency, UNICEF estimates that more than 500,000 Iraqi children are estimated to be at work rather than at school, as violence and displacement hurt the income of millions of families. UNICEF said since the beginning, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad said the support of Western governments for opposition groups in Syria has caused terrorism in Europe. Speaking at a meeting in Damascus with a visiting group of European parliamentarians that the problem Europe faces today of terrorism, extremism and wave of refugees are caused by some Western leaders' adoption of policies which do not serve their people, especially when those leaders give support and political cover to terrorist groups inside Syria. A summary of Assad's remark to the delegation headed by Javier Couso, Vice Chairman of the European Parliament and Chairman of its Foreign Affairs Committee, was reported by the Syrian state news agency SANA. A number of countries provided financial, logistical and training support to the many armed opposition groups in Syria. Renewed fighting erupted in South Sudan's capital Juba today as government sources say at least 272 people have died in fighting between rival factions, including 33 civilians. Forces loyal to Vice President Riek Machar said his residence was attacked by the president's troops, raising fears of a slide back into full-blown conflict. The two leaders, who fought each other in a two-year civil war that started in late 2013, had made a joint call for calm after clashes between rival factions broke out late on Thursday. Hundreds of residents from Juba sought shelter at the UMIS base. The fighting was said to have subsequently calmed, and the United Nations Security Council was to meet late in the day to discuss the violence. The world top 20 economies agreed in Shanghai to improve international trade governance in view of the global slowdown due to increasing anti-trade measures. G20 nations, which account for 85% of the world trade, called for 5 achievements to boost trade and investment cooperation at the G20 Trade Ministers meeting, which concluded today. Those included building a G20 trade and investment cooperation mechanism, drawing up a G20 global trade growth strategy, strengthening the multilateral trading system, as well as drafting global investment guiding principles. The ministers further called for supporting developing countries and middle and small-sized enterprises to join in the global value chain. They also agreed G20 members should play a leading role and approved the trade facilitation agreement by the end of the year. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition won a landslide victory in an election for Parliament's upper house. Media projections showed Abe's coalition and like-minded parties had won the two-thirds supermajority needed to try to revise the constitution's restraints on the military, a step that could strain ties with China, where memories of Japan's past militarism run deep. Abe's Liberal Democratic Party also won a simple majority for the first time since 1989. The victory will bolster Abe's grip over the Conservative Party that he led back to power in 2012, promising to reboot the economy with hyper-easy monetary policy, fiscal spending and reforms. Germany's financial capital, Frankfurt, turned into the country's art capital as more than 7,500 musicians gathered to perform together at the local soccer stadium. The event, organized by an avid 28-year-old trumpeter and music teacher, was also the successful attempt to break the current record in assembling the world's largest orchestra. Up until now, there was no event in Germany where musicians representing all sorts of genres got together to perform as one orchestra.
I had the idea 3.5 years ago. I traveled a lot by train for professional reasons. I am a trumpeter and music teacher, and I noticed that a lot of musicians are geographically limited. They do not look too much beyond their turf. I wanted to change that because music is something that should be done together.
France and Portugal fans started to gather around the Stade de France from the early morning hours, anxiously awaiting the Euro 2016 final. The game started earlier at 10 p.m. France has won the two other tournaments it hosted on home soil, Euro 1984 and the 1998 World Cup. The last time France took home the European Championship trophy was in 2000, when the current France coach, Didier Deschamps, captained the side to victory.
Dimitri Payet, I just don't think you understand. The superstar is bad.
Barcelona striker Neymar Jr. hosted teams from 6 continents for his Neymar Jr.'s 5 tournament, which was eventually won by a Rio de Janeiro team. At Neymar Jr.'s 5, over 65,000 players from 44 countries began competition, which organizers bill as the largest amateur soccer tournament worldwide. The winner team is taken to Barcelona, where they meet Neymar Jr. personally and watch a game at Camp Nou. And finally, a quick look at the weather forecast. And it continues to be pleasant in the hilly areas for the rest of tonight and moderate in other regions. Tomorrow, normal summer conditions prevail in most regions, remaining hot in the Jordan Valley and the Dead Sea, with a high of 40 degrees Celsius expected. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk. The Gulf of Aqaba should also expect high temperatures with a maximum of 41 degrees during peak hours, while winds will be northerly moderate and seas calm. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry says the current status quo in Palestinian-Israeli peace talks is neither stable nor sustainable and does not meet the aspirations of the people. Iraqi Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi confirms that the army seized back control of Qayyara Air Base, a launch pad for the recapture of Mosul, the largest city under Daesh control. And renewed fighting erupts in South Sudan's capital, Juba, as government sources say at least 272 people have died in fighting between rival factions, including 33 civilians. And with this, we come to an end. I'm Farah Ajluni. Thank you for watching and have a good night.